Have you ever shivered when you heard the sound of nails on a chalkboard, even though nothing touched you? Ever sensed that someone was watching you? Turned around, and yep, someone was staring? Or maybe you've smelled the scent of rain before a single drop hit the ground. We live in an era where science can decode DNA, send robots to Mars, and predict the weather with supercomputers. And yet, there are still these everyday, very human experiences that science simply can't fully explain. Those vague but vivid feelings, instincts that no one taught us, behaviors that show up again and again, for reasons we don't quite understand. And maybe, just maybe, you've asked yourself, why do I do this? But there's no real answer. Not even from Google. This video isn't here to offer concrete solutions. Instead, it's an invitation, a journey through the weird and wonderful things that make us who we are, biological, psychological, and sometimes, unexplainably magical. Because sometimes, the most fascinating part of being human is not what we know, but what we still don't. So if you're ready to explore a few mysteries you've lived with your whole life, let's dive in. The shiver from fingernails on a chalkboard. You hear it, that high-pitched screech of fingernails dragging down a chalkboard. Instantly, your body tenses, your shoulders rise, and your skin breaks into goosebumps. Why? What is it about that particular sound that triggers such a strong, involuntary response? Some scientists speculate it has to do with the frequency of the sound, which sits in a range the human ear is especially sensitive to. Others believe it's a deeply rooted evolutionary reflex. Maybe it mimics warning calls from primates or threatening noises in nature. But here's the twist. Not everyone reacts the same way. Some people barely notice it. Others wince like they've been punched in the soul. And science still hasn't nailed down the why. There's no single answer. No definitive cause. One thing's for sure. If you've ever gritted your teeth at that sound, you're not alone. And your reaction? Still largely a mystery. Feeling like you're being watched. You're sitting in a cafe, minding your own business, when suddenly, you just know someone's looking at you. You turn, and yep, eye contact. Confirmed. How did you know? This feeling of being watched is so common that it's become a cultural cliché. But scientific explanation? Still lacking. Some researchers suggest it may come from subconscious cues, tiny movements, shadows, or light changes that your brain registers before you're aware. Others think it might be connected to hyperactive pattern detection in the human brain, a survival trait from our ancestors. And then there are those who say it's something more mysterious, intuition, sixth sense, or even low-level energy fields. The truth? We don't really know. But millions of Americans have experienced it, and the eerie accuracy of that feeling continues to baffle researchers. Déjà vu. I've been here before. You walk into a room you've never seen, and yet something feels familiar, like you've lived that exact moment before. That's déjà vu, French for already seen. And it might just be one of the strangest mental glitches we all share. Some theories say it's caused by a temporary hiccup in the brain's memory processing system. Basically, your brain mistakenly files a new experience as an old one. Others think it's tied to dreams, places or scenarios your mind imagined long ago that are now being matched to real life. Despite extensive research, there's no single, agreed upon explanation. What we do know is that déjà vu is common, especially among young, healthy adults, and often happens during mundane moments. It's weird, it's universal, and it remains one of the brain's most elusive puzzles. Why we cry from emotion. Sure, we understand crying from pain. But why do humans cry when they're sad, or happy, or overwhelmed? We're the only species known to shed emotional tears. Elephants mourn, dogs whimper, but only humans produce salty streams from feelings alone. Some researchers believe crying evolved as a social signal, a way to show vulnerability, elicit empathy, or communicate distress without words. Others think emotional tears may release stress hormones or help regulate emotions. But here's the kicker. Science still doesn't fully understand why crying feels cathartic. Why do you feel better after a good cry? Why can a tearjerker movie make you cry even when nothing in your life is wrong? We do it, we feel it, but we don't completely get it. The science of tears? Still a tearful mystery. Phantom vibration syndrome. You feel your phone buzzing in your pocket. You reach for it, but nothing. It didn't ring. No notification. Just silence. Welcome to phantom vibration syndrome. Millions of Americans experience it regularly, especially those who are constantly connected to their smartphones. The phenomenon is so widespread it's been studied in psychology journals. Some experts think it's due to sensory misfiring. Your brain misinterprets muscle movement or clothing pressure as a vibration. Others say it's a sign of tech anxiety, a conditioned response created by our digital addiction. Despite the theories, there's no conclusive explanation. All we know is, your phone didn't vibrate, but your brain sure thought it did. A modern mystery for a modern age. The rain smell before it rains. You step outside and suddenly, you smell rain. Not wet grass, not puddles, but actual rain, before the first drop hits the ground. How is that possible? This phenomenon, known as petrichor, is partially explained. Scientists know that certain compounds in dry soil get released into the air when moisture is coming, often carried by the wind ahead of a storm. One compound, geosmin, has an earthy scent that's easily detected by the human nose even in tiny amounts. But what's not fully understood is how the brain processes that smell so quickly and accurately, or why some people are more sensitive to it than others. It's a bit of chemistry, a bit of biology, and a whole lot of mystery. You may not be able to predict the stock market, but your nose? Sometimes it beats the weather app. Recurring dreams. Why that same dream won't go away. You've had the same dream for years. Maybe you're back in high school, taking a test you didn't study for, or you're being chased but can't run, or you find a hidden room in your house that never existed. Why do these dreams return? Dream researchers have many theories. Some believe recurring dreams are tied to unresolved emotions or psychological stress. Others think they're the brain's way of checking in on ongoing internal conflicts or habits. But here's what's weird. Recurring dreams often happen regardless of what's going on in your real life. They may follow you for decades, even after the original source of stress is long gone. Despite decades of sleep science, we still don't fully understand how or why dreams form. And recurring ones? They're among the biggest mysteries of all. Closing thought preview. Optional teaser. You don't have to believe in magic to admit, some things about being human just don't have a clear answer yet. And that's what makes life endlessly fascinating. Isn't it fascinating that even in a world of satellites, AI, and endless data, some of the most ordinary things we do remain unexplained? But maybe that's not a flaw in our understanding. Maybe it's a reminder that being human isn't just about logic and science, it's also about wonder, mystery, and the beautifully strange experiences we all share. So what should you do with all this? Keep asking, keep noticing, keep feeling. The next time you sense someone watching you, or cry without knowing why, or dream the same dream again, pause. Instead of brushing it off, let yourself be amazed, because science doesn't have all the answers. But curiosity? That's where the magic begins. Share this video with someone who's had one of these unexplainable moments. Start a conversation. Laugh about the weird stuff. Connect over what makes us all so human. And above all, never stop wondering, because sometimes the questions we can't answer are the ones that make life most worth exploring.